The 5th of December 2024, Nissan in trouble. This I have to go out to father, and I didn't put on the heat, and it's cold. It's cold here now this morning because there's no point heating the house and being out all day. So I just want to make another video. I made one earlier there about Nissan. First of all, I have long said that you can't do net zero, you cannot go green, you cannot shut down nuclear power stations, you cannot do all this stuff, and wind farms don't work, and that anyone who thinks to do is relying on a delusion. It's like somebody who is too lazy to go out to plant the potatoes in the month of April, and they resort instead to wishful thinking and buying lotto tickets. And I have often known people who I would have helped and get on to do a bit of work and get things done. And I'd say, why are you doing that? They'd say to me, well, I said, we need to make the money. And they'd say, sure, maybe you'd win the lotto. Did you buy a lotto ticket? And this is a form of delusion, and it can spread to the greater community. Now, I read today that Nissan is in serious trouble. Something like $8 billion in American money in debt, and that only the Japanese government can bail it out. Now, there's talk of other manufacturers buying it out as well. Nissan has a lot of shares in Mitsubishi, and they're probably going to dump them, etc. Now, they were a good enough car. I always thought they were a bit soft and not as good as the Toyota. I had a few of them in the time, and I had a Nissan Terrana Jeep, which was so-so. It wasn't too bad. But in any event, they're in trouble. And I will post a video or two underneath here when I get time. I might mark this video private and then post a whole lot together so you can look at it and not take all the figures from me, because I'm just relying on other sources. The main source of my figures is normally the Financial Times. People say, oh, he's as daft as a brush. I generally try to take the data from the Financial Times. Either buy it or I get access to it or find out what's in it from friends, etc. Now, so this is real. You can Google it yourself, and there are videos on YouTube. Now, not all the videos are maybe that accurate, but they're all doing the best they can. There's none of them fake. Now, add to this the Volkswagen situation, where they're going to close down 3 plants, and there's huge disruption. Workers are discovering that the jobs they thought they had for life are not for life at all. They're going to be laid off. Thousands and thousands of workers. The Nissan situation has the potential to lay off thousands of workers. Vauxhall is shutting down its plant in England. It was making electric and standard cars in Luton. So what is happening? Well, I just want to bring it to viewers' attention and not be too technical here on my figures till I get a wee bit of time to look at it. That will not satisfy some people who just want all up front. There are sources of this information. But this is what I'm saying. The first thing is the EU thought they could pull a fast one with their Weir garden, and the rest of the world is a jungle. They thought they could build their windmills and build their solar panels, and then, by the way, on the sly, import unlimited amounts of cheap Russian fuel and a bit from elsewhere. And, as if it was to placate me or to answer my prayers, we end up with the Russians taking the gas away gradually all the way. And we end up with the Americans, and I have no doubt they were involved in it, blowing up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline and making sure that Germany and Europe did not have that supply of gas. They're some friends to have. If I had friends like that, who'd need enemies? How can anyone call them their friends? So, but at the same time, Trump would argue that he warned them not to be too dependent on Russian gas. This is something which has to be managed, and the Greens are in power in most of Europe in some way, and they have no brains at all, but they act as if they had. So what is this about? Are we looking at a severe recession in Europe? And in the United Kingdom as well? Well, I have only made the point that net zero can only happen when you send everyone back to the horse and cart. None of these transition methods of alternative energy works It cannot be done. And you hear these statements, oh, the wind was calm during March. Oh, it was a bit calm now. It was a bit calm. Oh, in October we had low wind speeds, so we didn't get the benefit of our wind farms. Is anyone of my viewers stupid enough to understand that that's not the problem at all? The wind blows the way it did for thousands of years. It's an irregular, erratic form of energy, and there's clouds in the sky for hundreds of years, and in the darkness of the winter you have very little solar power for mains electricity generation. And I have postulated, to use that big word, I have put forward the theory that the whole lot are net consumers of electricity, because it's taken 56 lorry loads, big articulated lorry loads of diesel oil to keep the lights on in Ireland. And they're doing the same elsewhere, no doubt. So what is the future? Well, I'm not going to speculate. But the model that the whole EU is based on is flawed. And I cannot see anyone in the government, they reappointed Ursula von der Leyen for 5 years. Madness. That was like putting Dr. Jekyll in charge of the orthopedic surgeon. Or what do you call the lad that had Frankenstein monster? That's what they did, and this is what democracy is doing, and we see it all around us. It's failing, big time, failing. We had an election in Ireland that guarantees we'll never have a children's hospital. We'll never have a children's hospital. It's about 1/8 built. So the people went into the ballot box and voted for never ever to have one. Never. They don't want it. They'll vote it down. So this is the thing. Now the exception is the United States, which is a country built on more on freedom and revolution and all of that. And they put in Trump, and he's going to take a more pragmatic approach. He's going to be more sensible and all that. But I don't think he's going to try to revive the European economy. And the next thing he's going to do is he's going to tell the Europeans, if you want defence, you want NATO, go and pay for it. The Europeans want the spare money for, green, we're going to be green, we put up wind turbines, we put up solar farms, we'll have net zero and electric cars, we have all. They can't sell them. The Nissan cars is not selling, the Volkswagen electrics are not selling, and I'd say we won't have Volkswagen cars at all. Meanwhile, lots of people say I'm crazy, and this is one area which I am prepared to admit I might have been daft as a brush. They say there'll be plenty of petrol and diesel cars. I say that's a severe mistake, because if the factories can't produce them, how are we going to have them in years to come? And mechanics could be the future. Now, just while I'm here, the Chinese are now making electric cars, about 2/3 made, and they're exporting the parts off to Spain. They have a big Ford factory in Spain, and they're making and assembling their electric cars in Spain. And apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, once there's a certain proportion of the making done in Spain, they qualify as EU cars. These will be about 3/4 or less the price of the comparable EU car, and they'll be more advanced. And the Teslas are selling well, and they're sometimes made elsewhere too. The Teslas are selling well. Now, folks, that was an important call. It's about a subject that... Right, folks, I had to take that call. I just can't... I'm not sure where I left off. Anyway, the bottom line is I want to bring that to your attention, and I'll put videos underneath about Nissan. Now, you have Volkswagen in trouble, Nissan in trouble, Vauxhall in England, which is Opel really in trouble, closing up. And these are closing down. Huge wage bills being gone. What's that going to do when that money is sucked out of the economies? Will it cause a serious downturn? Let's hear your views. My job is to bring it to your information. And Joe Hayes says I'm as daft as a brush. So all you have to do is check the news there and see, you'll get it. And I'll post underneath. I might mark this video private so that I can wait till I get my sources attached to it, and then let it up and running. Bye, and thank you very much. And comment underneath, and keep your comments, good, bad or indifferent, coming. Thank you.